Introduction. My dear friends, let me ask you a simple question. What do you think it really means to live a complete and fulfilling life? Most of us would probably say it's about being happy, being at peace, and finding some deeper meaning in the years we are given. And yet, if we look closely, we see that many people spend their whole lives chasing one side of the equation while neglecting the other. Some people focus only on accumulating blessings, through wealth, status, generosity, or good deeds, but they lack wisdom. And without wisdom, even great fortune can become a source of suffering. Others, on the other hand, spend their lives seeking wisdom, knowledge, and deep understanding of life, but forget to nurture kindness, compassion, and generosity. Their wisdom may shine brightly, but without the soil of blessings, it often stands alone, and grounded, even lonely. The Buddha, in his infinite compassion, gave us a simple but profound teaching. To live in true happiness, we need both blessings and wisdom. They are not two separate paths, but two wings of the same bird. Without balance, the flight of our life is unsteady. Together, they carry us to freedom. Think of it this way: blessings are like the fertile earth, and wisdom is like the tree. If the earth is rich, but we plant nothing, it becomes barren. And if we have a seed but no soil, no matter how perfect the seed is, it cannot take root, cannot grow, cannot give shade or fruit. In the same way, blessings give us the fertile ground, opportunities, support, conditions, kindness from others. Wisdom is the seed of clarity and insight that shows us how to use these blessings well. Now, pause for a moment and ask yourself, in your own life, which side do you naturally lean toward? Do you focus more on giving, sharing, and creating good conditions, but sometimes feel lost when challenges arise, not knowing how to navigate them? Or do you focus more on learning, analyzing, understanding life's truths, but sometimes feel disconnected from the warmth of human kindness, from the everyday beauty of simply giving? This is the delicate balance the Buddha pointed to. Blessings without wisdom can lead to indulgence. Wisdom without blessings can lead to isolation. Together, they create a life of depth and wholeness. I remember meeting someone who was extraordinarily successful in business. He gave generously to charities, helped his community, and was loved by many. On the surface, he seemed to have endless blessings. But in a quiet moment he confessed, "I don't know what it's all for. I feel restless. No matter how much I give, something inside feels empty." His blessings were abundant, but without wisdom to guide him, he felt unfulfilled. On the other side, I once knew a woman who was deeply spiritual. She spent years studying the Dharma, practicing meditation, and speaking profound truths. Her mind was sharp, her insight was clear. Yet she lived in near poverty, often isolated, because she never cultivated the blessings of relationships, generosity, and support. Her wisdom was like a bright candle in a dark room, but without the oil of blessings, it flickered precariously. Both stories remind us, the complete path is not one or the other, but the union of both. So let us carry this image in our hearts as we continue, blessings as the earth, wisdom as the tree. When both are present, the tree grows strong, offering fruit, shade, and shelter, not just for ourselves, but for all who pass by. And perhaps that's the secret the Buddha was pointing to. Happiness is not just found in the next possession, the next achievement, or even the next insight. It is found in the marriage of blessings and wisdom, in the harmony of giving and understanding, of compassion and clarity. As we move forward, let's keep asking ourselves, how can I nurture both wings of my life? How can I build blessings through kindness, generosity, and compassion, while also sharpening wisdom through mindfulness, reflection, and understanding? For only then, when earth and seed meet, can the tree of true happiness grow. Blessings as the foundation of happiness. Let's begin with something very simple, yet often overlooked, the foundation of happiness. We all want to be happy, but what is happiness really built upon? Is it money, achievements, or recognition? The Buddha reminds us that true happiness doesn't start with external possessions. It begins with blessings. Now, when I say blessings, I don't mean just wealth or status. Real blessings are the good seeds we plant every day, the kindness we show, the compassion we offer, the love we give without expecting anything in return. It can be as small as a gentle smile to a stranger who looks tired, a word of encouragement to a friend going through a rough time, or even pausing to hold the door open for someone. These may seem small, but they carry the energy of love, and love multiplies. Think about the last time someone unexpectedly showed you kindness. Maybe it was when you felt invisible, and suddenly someone noticed you. Or when you were struggling silently, and a friend reached out with just the right words. Didn't that moment feel like a blessing? Didn't it shift your whole day? The same is true in reverse. Every time we extend kindness, we are planting blessings not only for others but for ourselves. It's easy to confuse blessings with fortune. Fortune can fade, money can be lost, careers can change, health can decline. But blessings are different. They are like a quiet current running beneath the surface of life. They show up as supportive relationships, opportunities that seem to come at the right time, or even the resilience within us when life gets hard. Blessings are not random, they are the fruits of the seeds we've sown. Let me share a little story. I once met a man who had very little by society's standards. He worked a modest job, lived simply, and didn't own much. But everywhere he went, people loved him. Neighbors would stop by to bring him food, children would run up to greet him, and even strangers seemed to trust him instantly. Why? Because he carried blessings. He had spent his life giving, helping others, listening, offering what he could, even if it was just his time or his presence. His wealth wasn't in his bank account, it was in the hearts of people around him. That is what it means to have blessings as the foundation of happiness. Now, let's reflect. How often do we chase happiness in the wrong direction? We think, if only I had more money, more recognition, more comfort, then I'd finally be happy. But even when those things arrive, happiness slips away unless it's grounded in blessings. Because blessings are what make our lives truly connected and meaningful. Here's a gentle question you can ask yourself. What seeds am I planting today? Am I planting seeds of irritation, greed, or neglect? Or am I planting seeds of kindness, patience, and generosity? Life is like a garden. The harvest always reflects the seeds we put into the soil. The beauty is, blessings don't require grand gestures. You don't need to donate millions of dollars or save the entire world to live a blessed life. You just need to bring a spirit of compassion into ordinary moments. Hold your child with tenderness. Thank the cashier with genuine appreciation. Offer forgiveness instead of resentment. Each act is like a drop of water, and over time, those drops fill the well from which happiness flows. Blessings also protect us when life gets tough. When storms come, and they will, blessings act like a shelter. People with blessings are never truly alone, because the love they've given comes back to them in ways they might never have imagined. So, if happiness is what we seek, let us not forget this truth: blessings are the foundation. They are not built overnight, but moment by moment, through the way we choose to live. They are built not on what we take, but on what we give. As the Buddha taught, blessings are not distant treasures to be found somewhere else. They are here, in our daily life, waiting to be created with our own hands and our own heart. So ask yourself, what blessing can I plant today? Whose life can I touch, even in a small way? Remember, a smile, a kind word, a helping hand, these are not just fleeting gestures. They are the very bricks that build the house of happiness. And when your life rests on that foundation, no matter what storms come, you will stand in peace. Wisdom as the guiding light. If blessings are the fertile soil that supports our life, then wisdom is the lamp that lights the path. Without light, even the richest field can't be cultivated. And without wisdom, even the greatest blessings can sometimes mislead us. What is wisdom, really? It's not just intelligence, not just the ability to memorize facts or win arguments. True wisdom is the light that cuts through confusion. It helps us see clearly what is wholesome and what is harmful, what leads to lasting peace, and what only offers temporary satisfaction. Think about it. How often do we chase things we think will make us happy, only to realize later they brought more stress than joy? Maybe it was a job we thought would bring freedom, but instead it tied us down with endless pressure. Maybe it was a relationship we entered for comfort, but it became a source of pain. Without wisdom, blessings can become traps. With wisdom, even challenges can become stepping stones. The Buddha described ignorance as darkness, the root of suffering. In that darkness, we stumble, we hurt ourselves and others, often without even realizing it. But when the lamp of wisdom is lit, we begin to walk differently. We see the stones on the road, we avoid the thorns, and we notice the beauty of the flowers along the way. Let me ask you, have you ever looked back on a decision from years ago and thought, if only I had seen more clearly, I would have chosen differently? That's the voice of wisdom reminding us that clarity is priceless. And the good news is, wisdom is not reserved for sages or monks. It is something we can all cultivate, right here, in daily life. Wisdom shows us that not everything that feels good is truly good. It helps us pause before acting out of anger, because we see that revenge brings more pain, not less. It helps us notice the subtle difference between pleasure and peace. Pleasure fades quickly, peace stays. Wisdom teaches us not just to ask, what do I want right now, but also, what will this lead to tomorrow? In 5 years? In the rest of my life? I remember a story of a young man who inherited a great fortune. He had every blessing imaginable, wealth, opportunities, friends who adored him. But without wisdom, he drowned in indulgence. What could have been a life of meaning became a cycle of emptiness. His blessings became chains. Later, when he turned to the Dharma, he realized that without the guiding lamp of wisdom, blessings alone can lead us astray. On the other hand, I once met a woman who didn't have much in terms of material blessings. She lived modestly, worked hard, and carried her share of struggles. But she had wisdom. She practiced mindfulness, learned to let go, and saw life's ups and downs as passing clouds. She was calm in situations where others panicked. She was content where others complained. And in her presence, people felt safe, because she radiated the clarity of someone who could see beyond illusions. That's what wisdom does, it steadies us. It keeps us from being carried away by the tides of fortune or misfortune. It teaches us to use our blessings skillfully, without being blinded by them. So, how do we cultivate this guiding light? It begins with awareness. Every time we pause before reacting, every time we question our own motives, every time we look deeper into the nature of things, we are polishing the lamp of wisdom. Reading, listening, reflecting, all of these help. But most of all, wisdom comes alive when we practice it. When we breathe mindfully, when we choose compassion over anger, when we see impermanence not as a threat, but as a truth to embrace, that is wisdom in action. Ask yourself, are the choices I'm making today guided by clarity or by habit? Am I following the light, or am I stumbling in the dark? These gentle questions can open doors to insight. Remember, blessings can bring you opportunities, but wisdom shows you how to use them well. Blessings can fill your cup, but wisdom teaches you how to drink without wasting, how to share without regret. When wisdom guides blessings, life becomes not just fortunate, but meaningful. So let us keep this image close to our hearts, wisdom as the lamp that lights our path. With it, we walk safely, we see beauty, and we find peace even in the midst of chaos. Without it, we risk being lost, no matter how many blessings we have. And perhaps this is why the Buddha always emphasized wisdom, not as an ornament, but as the very essence of freedom. Because in the end, Happiness is not about how much we gather, but how clearly we see. And once we see, we know where to walk, how to live, and how to love. Many blessings, but lacking wisdom. Imagine someone who has everything most of us dream of: wealth, health, status, influence. They live in a big house, drive the finest car, and everyone admires their success. From the outside, it looks like they have the perfect life. And yet, if you could step inside their mind, you might find restlessness, confusion, and even suffering. How can that be? The answer is simple: blessings without wisdom can sometimes become a curse. Blessings, as we said, are like fertile soil. But what happens if we don't know what to plant in that soil? We might fill it with weeds, habits of greed, indulgence, or ignorance. Without wisdom to guide us, the very blessings we worked so hard to build can lead us down the wrong path. Think about lottery winners. Studies show that many people who suddenly come into great wealth often end up bankrupt or deeply unhappy within just a few years. Why? Because the blessing of wealth was not matched with the wisdom to use it. Instead of bringing peace, it magnified their cravings, surrounded them with false friends, and amplified their struggles. I remember meeting a businessman who was extremely successful. He had built an empire, employed thousands, and had the kind of lifestyle people fantasize about. But when I asked him if he was happy, he looked at me with tired eyes and said, "I feel like I'm trapped in a cage of my own making. I can buy anything I want, but I can't buy peace." His blessings were vast, but without wisdom, they brought no freedom. This is the danger: blessings can intoxicate us if we are not careful. They can make us believe we are invincible, that the good times will never end, that more is always better. Without wisdom, we get lost in the cycle of wanting, achieving, consuming, and still feeling empty. The Buddha taught that even heavenly realms, full of blessings, are impermanent. If the beings there lack wisdom, they eventually fall when their merit runs out. The same applies in our human lives. A person with great blessings but no wisdom may rise high, but when conditions change, and they always do, the fall can be devastating. Pause for a moment and reflect. Have you ever had a time when you achieved something you deeply wanted, only to realize it didn't bring the happiness you imagined? Maybe it was a promotion, a new purchase, or even recognition from others. The joy was real, but it was fleeting. That's the sign: blessings alone are not enough. Without wisdom, they fade quickly, leaving us craving the next thing, and the next. So what's the lesson here? It's not that blessings are bad. Far from it. Blessings are precious and necessary. But they need the steady hand of wisdom to direct them. Without wisdom, blessings can lead to attachment, arrogance, or indulgence. With wisdom, blessings become tools for growth, compassion, and true joy. Think of it like driving a powerful car. The blessing is the engine, it gives you strength and speed. But wisdom is the steering wheel. Without it, the faster you go, the more dangerous it becomes. With it, that same power can take you exactly where you want to go, safely and with purpose. So ask yourself, how am I using the blessings in my life right now? Do I use my wealth to support others, or only to satisfy endless cravings? Do I use my free time to cultivate peace, or do I waste it in distraction? Do I use my talents to uplift others, or only to feed my ego? These questions are not meant to judge, but to awaken. A person with blessings, but no wisdom, may live in luxury yet feel empty. But a person with even modest blessings, guided by wisdom, can live with deep joy. The choice is always ours. So let us remember, blessings are gifts, but they are not guarantees. They can open doors, but without wisdom, we may walk through the wrong ones. When we combine blessings with wisdom, we don't just live comfortably, we live meaningfully. And meaning is the foundation of true happiness. A person with wisdom, but lacking blessings. Have you ever met someone who was incredibly intelligent, someone whose words sparkled with insight, whose mind was razor sharp, but somehow, no one wanted to listen to them. Their ideas might have been brilliant, yet they remained alone, unheard, even unappreciated. This is what happens when wisdom is present, but blessings are absent. Wisdom by itself can make a person stand out. It's like a bright light shining in the darkness. But without blessings, that light often burns too harshly, blinding instead of guiding. Blessings are what soften the light, making it warm and inviting, something others are drawn to. Without blessings, wisdom can become cold, distant, and even intimidating. Think of wisdom as a seed. No matter how perfect the seed is, it cannot grow if it's planted in barren soil. Blessings are the fertile earth, the kindness, compassion, and goodwill that allow wisdom to take root in the hearts of others. Without that soil, the seed just sits there, unused, unable to fulfill its potential. There's a story I once heard about a scholar who had mastered countless scriptures. His logic was flawless, his knowledge vast. Yet, when he tried to teach, no one came. He became frustrated and asked a wise elder, "Why does no one listen to me when I have so much wisdom to offer?" The elder replied gently, "Because people are not only looking for knowledge. They are looking for warmth. Your mind is bright, but your heart is cold." That story lingers because it touches something real in our lives. Many of us know people who are too smart for their own good. Their intelligence is undeniable, but their presence feels heavy, their words sharp. And so, people quietly distance themselves. This is the loneliness of wisdom without blessings. Blessings come from the small, human acts of goodness we practice daily, smiling at a stranger, being patient with a child, listening to someone's pain without judgment. These are not separate from wisdom, they are the bridges that allow wisdom to travel from one heart to another. Without those bridges, wisdom stays locked inside, like a book that no one ever opens. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been given advice by someone who was technically right, but you couldn't bring yourself to follow it because you didn't trust their heart? On the other hand, have you received even simple words from someone kind, and somehow, those words changed you deeply? That is the difference blessings make. Wisdom alone can show the way, but blessings open the door so that others will walk that way with you. Personally, I've learned this the hard way. In moments when I relied only on my reasoning, even when my arguments were solid, people turned away. But when I led with kindness, when I let my words be carried by genuine care, suddenly people listened, not because my ideas had changed, but because my heart had. Wisdom needs blessings the way a flame needs air. One without the other cannot last. So, if you find yourself feeling unheard, if your insights seem to go unnoticed, perhaps the question is not whether your wisdom is sharp enough. Maybe the real question is, am I cultivating blessings in my daily life? Am I building the trust, the warmth, and the compassion that allow wisdom to be received? Because in the end, wisdom without blessings remains incomplete. It is the combination of the two, the clarity of wisdom and the warmth of blessings, that creates a force strong enough to guide lives, heal wounds, and inspire hearts. Blessings and wisdom must go hand in hand. Have you ever watched a bird soar across the sky? Its flight looks effortless, graceful, and free. But if you look closely, you'll notice something simple yet profound. The bird can only fly because both wings are working in harmony. If one wing is stronger while the other is weak, the bird struggles, wobbles, and eventually falls. In the same way, our life needs two wings, blessings and wisdom. Without balance, our journey through this world will always feel incomplete. Blessings are the goodness we plant, the kindness we extend to others, the compassion that softens our hearts, the generosity that lifts someone in need. Wisdom is the clear seeing, the light that guides us to understand what truly matters, what leads to long-lasting peace instead of temporary comfort. Blessings without wisdom can make us naive, giving endlessly, but sometimes in ways that harm ourselves or even enable others' suffering. Wisdom without blessings, as we've seen, can make us sharp but cold, intelligent but unapproachable. But when blessings and wisdom walk together, something magical happens. We don't just do good, we know how to do it wisely. We don't just understand the truth, we live it with love. That combination is what makes a life both meaningful and joyful. Think of a doctor, for example. If she has medical knowledge but no compassion, her patients might feel like numbers on a chart, treated but not cared for. On the other hand, if she has compassion but no medical training, her kindness alone cannot heal. It is only when skill and heart come together that true healing happens. Life works the same way. Blessings give us heart, wisdom gives us clarity, and together they give us wings. So let me ask you, in your own life, do you feel your wings are balanced? Do you find yourself giving and loving, but sometimes without direction? Or perhaps you see clearly, you know what's right, but your actions feel disconnected from compassion. Most of us lean toward one side, and that's okay, it's human. The important thing is noticing when we are flying in circles, and remembering to strengthen the other wing. Personally, I've had times when I gave generously without thinking. I thought I was helping, but later I realized my actions created dependence instead of growth. That was blessings without wisdom. And I've also had times when I saw things clearly but withheld my help, thinking people should figure it out on their own. That was wisdom without blessings. Both left me feeling empty, as if something essential was missing. Only when I allowed both to move together, acting with compassion, guided by clarity, did I feel the ease of truly flying. The Buddha once said that a bird with one wing cannot reach the far shore. It's such a simple image, but it captures our whole journey. Life is not about choosing between blessings or wisdom. It's about cultivating both, equally, patiently, until they rise together. That's when life opens, when we stop stumbling and start soaring. So maybe the real practice is this: every day, ask yourself 2 questions. First, am I planting blessings? Did I offer kindness, forgiveness, or patience today? And second, am I walking with wisdom? Did I act with awareness, clarity, and understanding of the bigger picture? If both answers feel alive, then you are already flying on both wings. Because in the end, happiness is not found in having only one wing perfected. Happiness is the freedom of flight, the balance of blessings and wisdom, carrying us higher, farther, into a life that feels whole. Sowing blessings in everyday life. When we hear the word blessings, we often think of something grand: donating millions to charity, building a hospital, or leaving behind some big legacy. But true blessings don't always come in such dramatic forms. In fact, the most powerful blessings are often planted quietly, in the soil of our everyday lives. Think about it. What if sowing blessings could be as simple as showing gratitude to your parents, offering respect to your teachers, or even just treating strangers with kindness? What if every small act of love, sharing a meal, comforting someone who feels alone, speaking a gentle word, was already a blessing being planted? Blessings don't demand that we have great wealth or power. They ask only for sincerity. A sincere smile can lift the heaviness from someone's heart. A sincere thank you can heal years of feeling unrecognized. Even something as ordinary as pausing to show compassion for an animal on the street is a way of reminding ourselves, life is connected, and every being deserves care. Sometimes we underestimate these little things. We think, how could one kind word matter in such a vast world of suffering? But have you ever been on the receiving end of such a moment? Have you ever had a terrible day, only to have a stranger hold the door for you, or a friend send a simple message, "I'm thinking of you"? It doesn't solve everything, but it shifts something deep inside. Suddenly, the world doesn't feel so cold. That's the hidden power of everyday blessings. I remember once standing in line at a grocery store, frustrated and tired. The cashier looked overwhelmed, yet she smiled and greeted every single customer with warmth. When it was my turn, Her kindness melted my irritation. It was so simple, so ordinary, and yet it changed my entire day. She probably doesn't even remember me, but I will never forget that feeling. That's what blessings look like in real life. The Buddha often emphasized that blessings aren't measured by size, but by intention. A small offering, given with a heart full of sincerity, is worth more than a grand gesture made for recognition. Imagine a child handing you a wildflower they picked from the ground. It costs nothing, but because it's offered with pure love, it's priceless. So maybe the question we should be asking is not, am I doing enough, but rather, am I sincere in what I give? Every day gives us countless opportunities to sow blessings, showing patience with our children instead of anger, listening to someone instead of interrupting, forgiving instead of holding on to bitterness. These things seem small, but over time, they create a field of blessings that nourishes not only others, but also ourselves. Because here's the truth, when we sow blessings, we are not only giving to others, we are shaping the quality of our own lives. A heart that practices gratitude, kindness, and compassion is a heart that knows peace. And in moments of struggle, those blessings return to us like a gentle breeze, reminding us that we are not alone, that goodness still lives in the world. So, let me leave you with this thought: you don't need to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect amount of money to start sowing blessings. You already have everything you need: the ability to care, to be grateful, to share, and to love sincerely. The blessings of life are sown not in rare occasions, but in daily choices. And the more we sow, the richer our inner world becomes. Nurturing wisdom with the Dharma. Wisdom doesn't simply appear one day, like a sudden flash of lightning. It has to be nurtured, patiently, like a flame that grows brighter the more we protect and feed it. Many people believe wisdom comes only with age or experience, but that's not entirely true. Time alone doesn't guarantee wisdom. It is how we live, what we practice, and what we open our hearts to that allows wisdom to bloom. So, how do we nurture wisdom? The Buddha taught that wisdom grows from three essential practices: mindfulness, meditation, and learning the Dharma, the timeless teachings about life and the nature of existence. Mindfulness is the beginning. It is the art of paying attention, of being fully awake to what is happening here and now. Without mindfulness, we live on autopilot, reacting to habits, lost in thought, distracted by endless noise. But when we are mindful, even in simple moments like washing the dishes or walking across the room, we begin to see more clearly. We notice our emotions rising and falling. We recognize the impermanence in everything: the breath comes and goes, sounds appear and fade, thoughts arise and dissolve. From mindfulness naturally flows meditation, which deepens that awareness. In meditation, we sit quietly, not to escape the world but to see it more clearly. We begin to touch the truths the Buddha pointed to: impermanence, suffering, and non-self. These aren't abstract ideas, they are lived realities. Have you ever noticed how joy doesn't last forever? Or how even the things we love eventually change? That is impermanence. Have you ever clung to something, only to suffer when it slipped away? That is the nature of attachment. And have you ever looked closely enough to see that what we call self is really a stream of body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, ever-changing, never fixed? That insight is the doorway to freedom. But wisdom doesn't stop at personal experience. It is also nourished by learning, the study of the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings. Just as a seed needs both sunlight and water, our practice needs both meditation and understanding. Reading, listening to talks, reflecting on the words of the Buddha, all of this gives direction to our mindfulness and meditation. It helps us see the bigger picture, to place our personal struggles within the vast flow of human experience. I often think of it like this: life is a river, always moving, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent. Without wisdom, we are tossed around, clinging to whatever floats by. But with wisdom, nurtured through mindfulness, meditation, and learning, we begin to see the current for what it is. We learn how to flow with it, not against it. Let me ask you, have you ever had a moment where everything suddenly clicked, where a truth you'd heard many times suddenly became alive? Maybe you always knew that nothing lasts forever, but only when you lost someone dear did those words turn into living wisdom. That is what it means for insight to open, not as an idea, but as a reality we deeply understand. Personally, I've found that the more I practice mindfulness, the more everyday experiences become teachers. A withered leaf reminds me of impermanence. A moment of frustration reveals the nature of suffering. A breath taken with full awareness becomes proof of life's preciousness. These small moments, repeated day by day, are how wisdom grows. So if we want to live wisely, we cannot wait for wisdom to appear by chance. We must nurture it intentionally. Start with mindfulness, be present. Deepen with meditation, sit, breathe, and see clearly. And enrich your mind with the Dharma, study, reflect, and learn from those who have walked this path before us. Slowly, gently, wisdom will unfold, like the opening of a lotus flower. Because in the end, wisdom is not a gift we receive, but a garden we tend. The more we nourish it, the more it blossoms, guiding us through the storms of life with clarity, compassion, and peace. Blessings as the ground for wisdom to bloom. There's a quiet truth in life that many of us overlook. Wisdom doesn't grow in isolation. It doesn't simply fall from the sky. It needs a foundation, a fertile ground in which it can take root. And that fertile ground is what we call blessings. Think about it. A person with blessings often finds themselves in the right place, at the right time, with the right people. They meet teachers who inspire them, mentors who guide them, and friends who uplift them rather than drag them down. They stumble upon the right book, the right retreat, or simply the right moment of stillness that awakens something deeper within. Without these conditions, even if the desire for wisdom is there, it may remain dormant, like a seed left on barren soil. Blessings create the space for wisdom to reveal itself. Imagine two seeds, one planted in dry, cracked earth, and the other in rich, moist soil. Both seeds contain the same potential. But only one has the nourishment to sprout, to push through the soil, to reach for the sun. Our lives are like that. Blessings are not the wisdom itself, but they are the fertile ground that allows it to grow. Sometimes, blessings come in simple forms. Having enough health to sit quietly for 10 minutes and meditate. Having the financial stability to take a weekend retreat. Having a friend who reminds you gently to slow down when life gets overwhelming. These may seem small, but they are profound conditions that make the practice of mindfulness, meditation, and learning possible. Ask yourself, how many times have you felt too exhausted, too burdened, or too distracted to sit down and reflect deeply? Without blessings, health, time, supportive relationships, it becomes nearly impossible. Wisdom doesn't grow in a mind that is constantly fighting for survival. It needs space. It needs nourishment. This is why in Buddhism, blessings are considered a form of spiritual wealth. Not wealth in the sense of money, but in opportunities and supportive conditions. Someone who has accumulated blessings through kindness, generosity, or patience often finds doors opening in life, doors that lead them toward wisdom. They don't have to fight as hard to find their path, life itself seems to align to help them see clearly. But here's something subtle, blessings are not just luck. They are cultivated. Every time you choose kindness over anger, generosity over selfishness, or patience over irritation, you're planting seeds of blessings. Those seeds might not bloom instantly, but over time, they create the right circumstances for wisdom to shine. I remember meeting a woman at a meditation retreat who told me her story. She had gone through years of hardship, loss, illness, financial struggles. But during those times, she had one practice. She tried to be kind, even when life felt unkind to her. She said, "I didn't have much, but I tried to give my smile, my time, or a listening ear. Years later, she found herself surrounded by supportive friends, invited to a retreat she could never have afforded, and finally, sitting in silence, she discovered an inner clarity she never thought possible. Her blessings had ripened, and wisdom bloomed naturally. So maybe the question we can all reflect on today is this: what seeds of blessings am I planting? Am I creating the conditions that will allow wisdom to flourish in my life? Because wisdom is not something you chase, it's something that arises when the ground is ready. The beauty of this truth is that it empowers us. You don't have to wait for the perfect teacher, the perfect moment, or the perfect book to appear. Start by cultivating blessings right where you are. Be kind to yourself and to others. Offer patience, give without expectation, create harmony around you. These actions enrich the soil of your life, and when the time is right, wisdom will naturally reveal itself, like a lotus rising from the mud. So, remember, blessings are not separate from wisdom. They are its silent partner, its hidden root system. Without them, wisdom remains a dream. With them, wisdom becomes your lived reality. Wisdom as the guide for blessings to flourish. We often talk about blessings as if they're enough on their own, as if simply being fortunate is the key to a meaningful life. But here's something important to reflect on: blessings without wisdom can be wasted, scattered, or even misused. It's wisdom that takes blessings and transforms them into something lasting, something that truly uplifts not just our own life, but the lives of many others. Think about it this way: having wealth, health, or influence can be considered blessings. But if we don't have the wisdom to know how to use them, those same blessings can become a burden. History is full of examples: leaders with power but no clarity, people with riches but no direction, individuals with opportunities but no sense of purpose. Without wisdom, blessings can be like water poured onto sand; it seeps away without nourishing anything. Wisdom is what helps us plant our blessings in the right soil, at the right time, for the right reasons. A wise person doesn't just give randomly, they give where it will truly help. They don't just act out of impulse, they act with care, timing, and understanding. That's why in Buddhist teaching, when blessings meet wisdom, they become merit, or true virtue. Merit is more than just good fortune, it's goodness that endures, goodness that benefits generations beyond our own. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine someone who is financially comfortable. They could spend all their money on luxury, on fleeting pleasures, and while that may bring temporary joy, it fades quickly. But if that same person uses their resources wisely, supporting education, helping those in crisis, or funding projects that heal the environment, the blessing of wealth transforms. It becomes something much greater, a source of lasting benefit. Their blessing has been guided by wisdom, and now it serves not only them but countless others. This principle applies in small ways, too. Say you have a few free hours in your week. Without wisdom, that time might be lost to endless scrolling or shallow distractions. With wisdom, that time can become a meditation practice, a phone call to comfort a friend, or even just a walk in nature to nourish your spirit. The same blessing, time, can either slip through your fingers or become the foundation of inner peace, depending on whether wisdom is guiding you. Ask yourself this: what blessings do I already have in my life, and am I using them with wisdom? Do my choices reflect a deeper understanding, or do they simply chase after comfort and convenience? These questions are powerful, because they shift our perspective from simply having blessings to actually living them in a conscious way. What makes this teaching so liberating is that wisdom doesn't diminish your blessings, it elevates them. It prevents waste. It magnifies impact. And most beautifully, it turns personal good fortune into shared good fortune. Your joy becomes another's joy. Your peace becomes another's peace. I once met a retired teacher who embodied this principle. She told me, "I don't have much money now, but I do have time, patience, and experience. So I volunteer to tutor kids in my neighborhood who can't afford extra classes. Her blessing wasn't financial wealth, but wisdom allowed her to see the wealth of her knowledge and her time. She used it skillfully, and in doing so, created ripples of change that extended far beyond her own life. That's what it means for wisdom to guide blessings. It helps us see what we already have and direct it toward what truly matters. So the real secret is not just to accumulate blessings, but to cultivate the wisdom that directs them. Because wisdom knows the difference between helping in a way that feeds the ego and helping in a way that heals the world. It knows when to step forward and when to step back, when to give and when to simply listen. The truth is, blessings and wisdom are not two separate paths, they are two partners in the same journey. Blessings provide the fuel, but wisdom is the compass. Without the compass, the fuel may burn wildly, taking us nowhere. But with wisdom, every blessing becomes a step forward, every act becomes meaningful, every choice becomes a seed of compassion planted in the soil of life. So today, perhaps we can pause and ask ourselves, how can I let wisdom guide my blessings? How can I turn what I already have into something that not only serves me, but also uplifts others? Because when blessings and wisdom walk together, life is no longer just fortunate, it becomes deeply fulfilling. Complete happiness when blessings and wisdom unite. What is true happiness? Many of us have been taught to believe it lies in wealth, success, or status. But have you ever noticed how even people who have it all can feel restless, lonely, or unsatisfied? On the other hand, there are those who live modestly, yet radiate a deep peace and joy that feels unshakable. What's the difference? The answer, from a Buddhist perspective, is the union of blessings and wisdom. Imagine blessings as the kindness, opportunities, and goodwill we receive or create in life. And imagine wisdom as the clear vision that helps us understand life's truths, impermanence, compassion, and interconnectedness. When these two come together, we discover a happiness that is whole, not fragile, a joy that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Think of it like breathing. Blessings are the air that nourishes us, and wisdom is the awareness that allows us to breathe fully and with gratitude. Without blessings, life feels harsh and difficult. Without wisdom, even abundant blessings slip through our fingers. But when blessings and wisdom move together, our life flows in balance, nourished, clear, and free. This happiness is not the fleeting thrill of possessions or achievements. It is the quiet confidence of knowing your heart is kind and your mind is clear. You don't need the world to be perfect for you to feel at peace. You don't need constant affirmation or applause to feel whole. Your happiness comes from a heart that knows how to love, and a mind that knows how to understand. Let's make this more concrete. Picture someone who has wealth but no wisdom. They may indulge in endless luxuries, but soon boredom or emptiness creeps in. Now picture someone who has wisdom but lives without basic blessings. They may see life clearly, but constant hardship makes practice difficult. Only when both blessings and wisdom support each other can a person truly live in balance, free to grow, free to give, free to smile at life. Maybe ask yourself, where in my life are blessings present? Do I have health, family, friends, opportunities, even simple things like a safe place to sleep? And where am I nurturing wisdom? Am I pausing to reflect, to meditate, to see beyond the surface of things? These two questions, if we hold them with sincerity, can transform the way we see our own path. One of the most beautiful things about this teaching is that it democratizes happiness. It tells us, you don't have to be rich, famous, or powerful to live a joyful life. You only need to nurture kindness and clarity together. That's why you sometimes meet elders with little material wealth who still glow with serenity. Their secret is not external, they've cultivated blessings through compassion and generosity, and they've cultivated wisdom through reflection and letting go. Together, these qualities create a happiness that no loss, no failure, no circumstance can take away. I remember meeting a farmer once in a rural village. His house was simple, his meals plain. Yet his face carried a serenity I rarely saw in big cities. He said, "I work with gratitude, I share what I can, and I remind myself every day that nothing lasts forever." That is the voice of someone whose blessings and wisdom walk hand in hand. His joy was not dependent on wealth or position, it was rooted in the harmony of giving and understanding. So maybe complete happiness isn't about what we add to our lives, but about how we balance what's already here. The kindness we give is our blessing. The clarity we gain is our wisdom. When both bloom together, we become like a tree with deep roots and wide branches, stable, nourishing, and beautiful. And here's the profound truth: this kind of happiness is unshakable because it comes from within. It's not borrowed from circumstances, not fragile like fame or fortune. It's a happiness born of a loving heart and a wise mind, two qualities every one of us can cultivate, no matter where we are in life. So as you continue your journey, perhaps you can ask, today, how can I add even a little more kindness? And how can I see life a little more clearly? Step by step, these become the wings that carry you, not just toward fleeting joy, but toward complete, lasting happiness. Conclusion: the true luggage of life. My friends, life is short. No matter how long we live, 60, 80, even 100 years, it still feels like a blink of an eye when compared to the vastness of time. And in this brief journey, what do we truly carry with us? It is not money, nor fame, nor possessions. The most precious luggage we can take along is blessings and wisdom. Think of it this way: blessings are like the fertile soil of a field, and wisdom is like the seed. If you only have soil but no seed, the land lies barren, wasted. If you only have a seed but no soil, it cannot sprout. But when blessings and wisdom come together, a garden of life flourishes, green, abundant, and nourishing. So many of us chase after one while neglecting the other. Some devote their lives to doing good deeds, yet without wisdom, they may get lost, giving in ways that do not truly help, or even create more harm. Others seek wisdom through books and meditation, but without blessings, they find little support, few opportunities, or their insights remain ungrounded in real life. The truth is, only when blessings and wisdom meet do we walk firmly on the path of awakening. Happiness, then, is not simply about doing good or knowing deeply. It is about uniting the heart that gives and the mind that sees. A life of blessings without wisdom is generous, but easily exhausted. A life of wisdom without blessings is clear but isolated. But when the two merge, happiness becomes steady, self-sustaining, and deeply nourishing, not just for ourselves, but for everyone we encounter. Let me ask you this: when you look back on your life, what do you hope to see? A list of achievements, titles, possessions? Or would you rather see a trail of kindnesses offered, a mind that has learned to be at peace, a heart that has learned to love without conditions? This is the quiet yet profound legacy of blessings and wisdom. Personally, I've seen this truth reflected in many ways. I've met wealthy individuals who gave generously to charity, but their giving was mixed with pride, and thus their kindness often created distance rather than connection. And I've met humble teachers, who had little materially, but whose blessings and wisdom shone so brightly that their very presence brought peace to others. These encounters remind me that happiness is not measured by size or scale, but by harmony, where the blessings and wisdom are walking hand in hand. So, as you continue your journey, I invite you to carry this teaching close: blessings nurture life, wisdom illuminates life. Blessings lift us up, wisdom sets us free. Without one, the other stumbles. With both, we walk lightly, peacefully, and with purpose. And here's the most beautiful part: blessings and wisdom are not reserved for monks, saints, or extraordinary people. They are available to each of us, right here, right now, in our everyday choices. When you offer a smile, a kind word, or a helping hand, you cultivate blessings. When you pause to breathe, to notice impermanence, to let go of clinging, you cultivate wisdom. Step by step, seed by seed, soil and seed meet, and life blossoms. So let us live in such a way that we are not only happier ourselves, but that our happiness becomes a source of peace for the world around us. When blessings and wisdom unite, we no longer walk just for ourselves, we walk for all beings. Remember this simple truth: blessings feed the body of life, wisdom frees the spirit of life. Together, they are the wings that carry us toward peace, freedom, and true fulfillment.